Woo! That was an interesting contest that transpired last night. I actually, I have to run to my daughter's. She has something called a clap out at school today. Today is her last day of third grade. She technically graduated third grade yesterday, but we all like when a wrestler makes their entrance and they come out and everybody's like, yeah, the big pop. Got to go give her a big pop for her final walkout from the third grade before she graduates to the next school and moves up. So trying to fit all this in. But in the theme of the WWE stuff, there is last night, as the title of this video says, in regards to the Connecticut Sun Indiana Fever game. And what a wild game. What a wild contest that was. I can't get over this little video is just, it's both like sad and funny. I mean, it's kind of funny in a way, just because it's wild. This is Caitlin Clark, of course, like by far the biggest, it's not even like, when I say by far, it is selling it short. That's by far is not even an appropriate phrasing or wording or whatever. Like so Caitlin Clark is the sun that the rest of the WNBA orbits around, right? So to see something like this it's just wild. In the eye, knocked to the floor, boom. And Caitlin Clark receives the same penalty as Marina Mabrey on the play. And look, I'm not here telling you that Caitlin Clark needs to be babied or protected. In fact, last year, I made the comparisons to the bad boy Pistons and the Jordan rules. And, I've been very hesitant to jump into the whole, protect Caitlin Clark kind of deal, because she's tough. She don't need that, right? Like, she can stand up for herself. She talks trash out on the floor. All that stuff is true. She's physical and gives it as good as she gets it. But then there's a line. And there's a habitual line stepping going on in the WNBA that is not enforced or protected by the league and the officials. It is their job to get it under control. And we're not seeing that happen, so that we see this over and over again. Over and over again. I mean, it's like a repeat. How many times do we see the same story? This goes back to the Kennedy Carter hip check, really, because the reason that was a story to me is that it wasn't called appropriately on the floor. Everyone knows, there's some baggage with Kennedy Carter. She ain't that wasn't her first rodeo with controversy. And it would have been fine if it was just called right. Kick her out the game. The end. But no. It's like a regular foul or whatever it was. I forget the exact. And then last night, same thing. Like, I'm sorry. I like Marina Mabrey. I don't even have an issue with Marina Mabrey, right? Like, I don't have an issue with what Marina Mabrey did either. Like, she's standing up for her teammate. But she should have been thrown out the game. Just like Sophie Cunningham, which should have been thrown out the game. And was. And Sophie Cunningham is going to be a cold hero for Indiana Fever fans because she stood up for Caitlin Clark and her team and said enough is enough. And she crossed the line too, of course, like it was an intentionally hard foul from Sophie Cunningham. But it was, sports justice in a sense. Because J.C. Sheldon been running around like a goon for several games in a row now. Chipping Sophie's tooth, other plays with Clark, instigating. And that's why, you saw a little extra oomph when Caitlin was yelling towards Sheldon. Because Sheldon been running around like a goon. And Sophie checked it. I mean, that's sports. That's what happens. And think about it in the NBA, like in NBA terms. Imagine if the NBA was consistently prioritizing the likes of Dylan Brooks over Steph Curry. Like, imagine that. And, it's funny because this situation is hilarious. It's going to be a funny litmus test to see how everybody reacts, especially considering all the players involved were white. Yeah, let's go, baby. Because I've never thought this was a race thing, by the way. I've brought it up a million times. I always thought the resentment to Clark was about her popularity, not her race for the most part. And I never thought Clark's popularity was based on her race. I thought it was based on her ball playing. And now you got JC Sheldon, who, is running around causing issues, and Marina Mabrey sticking up, and then Sophie Cunningham getting her back, who apparently had a black belt or something when she was 6 years old. Because Sophie had her in like a jiu-jitsu lock. She's going to have her tapping out there in a second. And, we wind up talking about this rather than the Fever being in the championship for the Commissioner's Cup, or Caitlin Clark back on the floor and playing well and all that. And you could tell Stephanie White was fed up after the game too. She said everybody's getting better but the officials. Everybody keeps getting better but the officials. Here's a little clip from the Fever coach last night after all of this transpired.
I'll take the official questions. Sure. There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better. They got to be better.
Can you specifically detail what you mean by get control of the game, just to be in your words?
Get control of the game is call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor, right? And consistently call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Okay, not just if somebody swings and misses, right? Consistently call the fouls.
Coach, do you think it's something pertaining to your team, or do you think it's a league-wide issue?
Well, I've seen quite a few dust-ups in the league so far, so I think it's a league-wide issue. I mean, bad officiating is bad officiating.
And what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
It was a flagrant foul. She's correct. And Sophie Cunningham deserved to be kicked out of the game, right? Like she earned what came to her. But let's not pretend it came out of nowhere and was some premeditated attack, and that JC Sheldon wasn't asking for that for a couple games, because JC Sheldon been running around like Debo. And that's again, sports justice in a sense. But the thing with Clark is, Clark is the superstar. Remember when Angel Reese said last year, some people get a special whistle or something? It's the complete opposite. The player who is more responsible for the popularity of the league she plays in than any individual is for the popularity of their league, perhaps in history, is subjected to officiating that is not in line with that. And I don't even think she shouldn't get preferential treatment, but she should get respect in the way things are called. She should get respect. What do you want, Butters? Come on. And that's the issue. I mean, a technical foul for Caitlin Clark in the midst of that. Yeah, she shoved back after she got hit in the face and then moved away. What a wild sequence. What a wild game. What a wild league. But I quote the Jay-Z line for Caitlin Clark. Michael, Magic, and Bird all rolled in one. I mean, because that's what she's been for. We just literally saw it. And that's 50% drop across the league when she was out. Like, I want the entire WNBA to succeed. Right? Like, I've made it a point to try and help foster that. But I mean, come on. Over and over again. I mean, and I'm not like any of y'all trolling. I'm not playing around with trolling. Like, have legitimate conversations. And what you look at the basketball aspect of it, not only did Clark hit that 3 in Sheldon's face and let her know about it, or let the Sun know about it, she's also playing defense. Caitlin's defense has been great this year. There's no more criticism about her defense. Right? Like, there's just nothing. There's no longer any ammunition for anybody to work with against Caitlin Clark. Nothing exists. Nothing exists. And it's beholden. I mean, this goes to the commissioner of the league and the people that run the officiating. You got to get a handle of it and get the game under control. Again, I'm not besmirching nobody's name. I'm not saying physical play ain't a part of the game. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is a delicate princess who needs to be protected. But the right calls need to be made. You need to nip this in the bud. Imagine if, like, I don't know, Isaiah Stewart was just allowed to hip check LeBron James whenever he wanted to, or Steph Curry, or whoever. And, Sophie finally had enough. It's wild scene. Member chats, super chats, go first. Trying to sneak in live, like I said before. I got to go from this to a third grade event. Kevin Zwicker, CC going through handicap matches since she's came back. Yeah, the WNBA, WWE is, it's nuts, man. Never seen nothing like this. Really. And some people I'm sure will take it too far, but like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. You've got an asset and something that any business would beg for. Like, any business would beg for. And no one's saying wrap her in bubble wrap, but also don't hit her with a crowbar. Brandon Sleep, Sheldon went full Captain Insano. Yeah, I mean, like, this is a habitual line stepper. Habitual line stepper is a habitual line stepper, whether it's JC Sheldon or Dejanay Carrington. That call it like you see it. Dejanay was involved in a bunch of, like, wind up follow through plays, hair grab plays, like, since for a while, where it's like, come on, why is it always the same person? Same thing with JC Sheldon. Eventually I give the benefit of the doubt. I like to give the benefit of the doubt. But when the common denominator remains and you continue to see the same results every time, you also can't be naive. Member chat, super chats go first. Like I said, go through and find them. Somebody yelling at me for not having a mod. Somebody else trolling about Caitlin's defense. Somebody give me credit for what I said. Thank you. Sports just, I mean, it's, I never seen nothing like this. This is it's entertaining. I'll give it that. I'll give it that. Certainly entertaining. You can't say that the WNBA is boring. Brett Atwood, I feel like it's going to take the NBA to step in and fix this officiating issue. Perhaps. I mean, it's the same league. It's the same league. You know, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. And you could see how Adam Silver, you know, the level of praise and admiration he has for Caitlin Clark. Kevin Zwicker said Reese had a nice game last night. You know what's nuts is it's like nothing else happened in the WNBA last night. I mean, think of Paige and them won, right? DeJounte got benched in that game. Her on-off court numbers are terrible, by the way. And she got benched in that game. Angel did have a good game. But stay. It's driving me crazy. You want to leave? Then leave. Say hello. Reese had a good game. They lost, though. But all that stuff is swallowed up by this. Swallowed up by what we saw. Just it's nuts. So I got about I'd say 20 more minutes or so, guys. So get in the chats, get in the super chats, member chats, other chats, anything else you want on the table. Bolsky says, love me some WWE last night on the Fever Court. Sophie took it to the house and put Sheldon in her place. Deaton says Sophie's jersey already sold out. I love to see it. Yeah, I mean, she's going to be a cold hero for that. There's no question. Because that's what fans want to, fans want to see somebody have their superstars back. Not letting things go awry. I did see somebody said Monica McNutt lost. She said it was adjudicated correctly. I mean, Mabry should have been thrown out the game. Sorry. That's how the refs get it under control. And I don't even have a problem with what Mabry did. Really, right? Like this is the nuance of the situation. I get it. Mabry saw her teammate involved in something, stepped up to the plate. Even though her teammate was in the wrong, because her teammate again hit Caitlin Clark in the face after, multiple instances or transgressions. Nonetheless, it's her teammate. She stepped in. She was trying to be the heavy, whatever. But once you do that, the refs have to say, this can't be allowed. You're out. And then hopefully the next time it doesn't happen like that. People get, Stephanie White was perfectly said it, like people get caught up in the competitiveness in it. And that happens. But when you blindside somebody like that, check them to the floor off the ball, when the ball's not even live, throw them out the game. And it was correct that Sophie got thrown out. Of course, Sophie should have been thrown out the game. But how does Caitlin Clark receive the same level of punishment as Marina Mabry? And essentially the equivalent of J.C. Sheldon in that play. That's the issue. I mean, and this is not a rare occurrence with Sheldon. It's not a rare occurrence. This is something that has happened consistently. Sophie's the enforcer for real. Check Rosalina's piece in the description on that very topic. And it consistently happens with Caitlin Clark, who, again, is, there's no way to properly articulate it or state it. And it's not trying to be insulting. It's not trying to be disrespectful. There's no motive behind anything I'm saying other than the truth. Other than the truth. Other than, Caitlin being so far and away the greatest thing that has ever happened to the WNBA and women's sports and really basketball now. Like, Caitlin Clark is the most entertaining basketball player on planet Earth. She is the she is a generational passer, male or female. She shoots from further away than a lot of the dudes, or everybody, really. She does things we've never seen a woman do on the floor before, but it's not even a man-woman thing. It's like, just from a pure basketball. The NBA's been searching for that, and the WNBA has it. Jeff Poor says it's like rollerball. I'll take your word for it. I never really watched rollerball too much, but definitely seems to be, I've seen a few comments like that. Apparently that is something that happens in rollerball. The rolling around hip, I guess it's like hockey, right? Sorry, there was a phone ringing in the background. The graduation stuff is coming up on me quick here. I just didn't know what the rest of my schedule was going to look like. Chicago Cheetah says, you guys really believe that Clark is the most entertaining basketball player in the world? Your opinion, it's completely flawed and biased and completely false from reality. Yes, it's definitely my opinion. That's true. But it's certainly not false from reality. Look at every data point, bro. Like, you can be Chicago Cheetah crash out all you want, and you can flail and go like, but her turnovers, but her defense, but her this or that or this, or but she starts it, but she talks trash, whatever. I mean, look at the numbers, bro. Check the receipts. And then I'm speaking from my own personal perspective as a fan, as someone who has watched, consumed the sport. The sport, not, I'm not even talking man, woman. Caitlin Clark is the most entertaining basketball player on planet Earth, full stop. There's a reason this is happening. People are not being like mentally brainwashed or hypnotized or osmentalist into this. It's what is naturally occurring. It is a naturally occurring phenomena. It is what the people want. We see it. You see it. The league sees it. The viewership shows it. The ticket sales show it. There is no one in the WNBA who's even in the same universe as Caitlin Clark from a popularity standpoint. And outside of the folks that, LeBron and Curry and Durant to a certain extent, but I put him, despite the exchange on my wall, I put him a little bit of a notch below those guys. There is no other NBA player emerging who's in her realm either. You don't have to like it. I don't give a shit. But that's the truth. That's the truth. Brandon Sleep says, what's the next Fever game you're going to? I'm going to work on going to the All-Star game, and I was thinking of going to maybe the Wings game that week before, depending on how the schedule works out, because they play on Sunday, I believe. I'm looking at it now. I'll definitely be back out there for sure. Obviously Caitlin being out for a while had an impact. And then the fact that I pay my own way on every trip has a little bit of an impact as well. Back into the live. I don't know. I'm not responding to those Angel Reese comments because I'm not here to diss Angel Reese. Angel Reese is playing well. I think she had a few too many turnovers, but again, like that comes with trying to play make. I'm not going to harp on that with her because she's trying to evolve as a player. She had 17 points, 10 boards last night, 7 turnovers, too many turnovers for a big. But again, she had 5 assists. They're asking her to play make more happen for the team. All these things. So it's not fair for me to thrust her and diss her through these false equivalency comparisons when she's doing well. Stern 12, aka Chris, the size of the new deal is based on CC. So let's target her. Just a brilliant way to get the new bargaining agreement. I mean, whether it's targeting or not, I don't even know. Like, it's just not properly called and enforced. But regardless, the fact of the matter is, when they go to the bargaining table and they're making their arguments and they're holding their hardline stance, all of the leverage is based from Caitlin Clark. The leverage is from Caitlin Clark. And we can do mental gymnastics or figure out ways around that or do your best to make that not be the case, however you want to look at it or spin it. But that is the case. And it just needs to be recognized. Jeff Poor says Caitlin needs to form her own league. She wouldn't even say that. They just need to get a handle on it. It's simple. It ain't that big a deal. If it's handled, you would never see this happen in the NBA or any other professional sports league. Look what happens when a quarterback in the NFL, a tackle, violent, physical league, when a quarterback gets hit after they protect the quarterbacks. They're protecting the money and the investment. It's on the league and the refs. Simple as that. What about Brunson? You forgot him. Can you please read this in the nerdy voice again? Anybody bringing up Jalen Brunson? You're bringing up Brunson in regards to this is, delusional. Sorry. I mean, Jalen Brunson is not even in the candidates for the guys to be the next NBA guy. He's a really good player, but he certainly ain't moving the needle. They haven't found that guy in the NBA. But look at, I mean, again, another example. I brought up Angel. You would not even know that game happened. Same with the Wings, and Paige had a good game. Wouldn't even know it happened. There is, you know, levels. As a great philosopher once said, there are levels to this. You know, there are levels. I don't know which point you're saying is great, but I agree with you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff. Um, you know, it just needs to be enforced properly. It's not that complex. It ain't that deep. Rosie's working on her own video right now. Her article is in the description, so click that. But then check out her channel from the logo. You know, her and I will do another one at some point this week. But due to timing issues, I wanted to go live early. You know, and by the way, as we speak, I'm working on pieces that highlight other players in the league, you know, and getting those published, despite the fact that I know they're not going to get the same return as 7,000 articles on this. But this is, you know, that's the money. Caitlin is the one that drives everything. It's once in a lifetime phenomenon. It really is. You know, I try to casual fans explain it to them, and sometimes I don't think they quite comprehend. But I've been doing this a long time, y'all. Like, I ain't just show up on YouTube. Ernesto says, this is early. I'm getting fired. You know, look, and then anybody has a differing opinion or wants to have a real discussion about it, I'm always open to that too. It felt like a bit of a tipping point last night when it comes to, because again, I'm not saying dainty princess Caitlin Clark. She can handle herself. But, you know, the level of physicality that's allowed with her, and the number of times we've seen her poked in the eye or thrown to the floor or whatever, relative to where she is in the scheme of the league, it's out of proportion. Who's going to win the Commissioner's Cup? The Fever or the Lynx? I got to see what's up with Nafisa Collier. You know, got to see what's up with her, because that's gonna matter. Just a kid from Brooklyn. Can Fever beat the Lynx in the Cup? I was hoping for Fever versus Liberty. Yeah. You know, the Commissioner's Cup is not until July, by the way, that game. But that should be a good game. And that's the two leading MVP. I mean, look, the MVP is going to come down to Nafisa Collier and Caitlin Clark. For sure. July 1st is the game, I believe. And we've seen the Fever now match up with the Liberty. So we'll see them with the Lynx. You know, but all of that is swallowed up by that Fever Sun clash. What a turn of events. But we see the same thing again. It ain't no different. Another flip on the same story. Dina says Fever haven't played the Lynx, so no comps. All right, y'all. Another 90 seconds or so, but like, subscribe, all that stuff. I hate to cut it short, but I got to make sure I'm there for my daughter and wanted to make sure I got this in as well. So multitask when you got as much going on. Not that you guys don't have stuff going on. Everybody's got stuff going on. I'm not like saying like, oh, woe is me. But, you know, let me read this one because I see him. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, bro. I guess views and likes are the only thing that matters. Well, views and likes are important. This is my favorite channel, but this is my last post. Hopefully you don't take it personal. What are you upset about? That I didn't read a comment before? There are a lot of comments in here, man. I got to get a mod or something, but trust me, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. And there has to be an incentive for the members and the super chats. Like, you know, that's they're going to go first. I'm not going to change that sort of rules, but I hope that your feelings are not hurt, and I welcome you back. If indeed you reconsider, and thank you for the compliment that you let off with there. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. You can comment later. I'll get back to some of it before. Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Can you relate? Thank you, John Dark Knight. I will catch you guys on the next one. Until next time, eat.